Talks. Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, the president pulls the U.S. from the Paris Climate Accord. An education trust fund is seeing record performance. And we'll talk to a local news anchor who is leaving her desk for a job at ASU's Cronkite School of Journalism. That's next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Arizona PBS, members of your PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Catherine Anaya in for Ted Simons. Governor Doug Ducey today signed an emergency declaration following a new report showing a big jump in opioid deaths in Arizona. That report by the Arizona Department of Health Services shows that 790 Arizonans died from opioid overdoses just in 2016, an increase of 74% from 2012. The governor's declaration directs the department to rapidly respond to the opioid crisis. Ducey said, quote, "I'm declaring a statewide health emergency because we need to know more about this epidemic, including enhanced data that illustrates when and where these overdoses occur so that we can develop real targeted solutions." As part of the declaration, the Department of Health will look at ways to prevent abuse by developing guidelines for responsible prescribing practices, expanding access to treatment, and reversing overdoses through the distribution of naloxone. Well, President Trump has withdrawn the United States from the Paris Climate Agreement. Here to talk more about the implications of that is Sandy Barr, director of the Sierra Club's Grand Canyon chapter, and Sonia Klinsky, an Arizona State University senior sustainability scientist in the Julianne Wrigley Global Institute of Sustainability. Klinsky attended the Paris Climate Talks. Thank you, ladies, so much for joining us. We appreciate it. So, Sandy, I want to start with you. More than 190 nations agreed to the Paris Accord back in 2015. 147 has since formally ratified or otherwise joined it, and now we would become only the third to withdraw. What does that mean domestically and internationally?
Well, first of all, many have called it a historic mistake, and we agree with that. I mean, we should be at the table. We should be doing everything we can to help reduce carbon emissions. Historically, we've been the biggest emitter. We're still at the top, near the top, and we should be there. It sends a very bad message that the United States is not willing to step up and do its part to address one of the biggest challenges we face.
And so if the U.S. withdraws, who takes over as leading sort of the progress that we've already seen so far?
Well, a lot of other countries have stepped up. Of course, China has reaffirmed. The European Union has reaffirmed. There are a lot of countries, except the three. And I will point out Nicaragua was concerned about it not being strong enough. So we're an outlier with Syria. And so that's a really sad place to be. But I also want to say that we're not just accepting this. People throughout the country, there are now, I think, 211 mayors that have said we're going to move forward with trying to meet what we agreed to in the Paris Accord. There are several states that have, California, Hawaii, several others. And there are a lot of businesses that have stepped up, and some of the same businesses that told the president, don't do this, are stepping up and saying, we're going to do our part. So I think that while it's not good any way you slice it, the positive is that he can't do it immediately. There's 3 years before he can really begin it, and a lot of other folks are stepping up, and other countries throughout the world are not only saying they're committed, but they're committed to doing more.
Before we talk more about that, you did mention that the U.S. represents more than 80% of the world's greenhouse emissions, the second largest. Sonia, to you, does this make it nearly impossible for the world to fulfill its agreed goal of limiting global warming?
Without American contributions, it would be impossible for the world to get there. But as Sandy mentioned, it's one thing to have a federal government leadership, which we do need. But that goal also includes all of the actions that would happen at the state and city level. And so even if the United States doesn't sign, that doesn't mean that Americans, already we've seen many states and cities step forth and say, well, we're going to do this anyway. So having the federal government step back on this is definitely a major problem in terms of being able to meet those commitments. Probably the biggest problem here is what it will do to the United States' reputation internationally and its ability to lead on any other issue. So don't forget, all of these countries work together on every other global issue. Having the United States do this after 197 countries have spent literally years, and I've been at years of these negotiations. All night, years and years and years, they've worked at these negotiations.
Right.
To have someone pull out like this really breaks trust. And there's absolutely no reason why any other country should trust the United States on any other issue when it's willing to do this. That, for me, is the real cost here.
Well, and you're talking about the implications of this. Going back to sort of the progress that we were talking about that has been made, many companies have insisted that they are going to continue with some of their policies that they have put in place since this agreement was signed. What would you give state lawmakers in terms of a grade on sort of their attitude, their performance when it comes to all of this?
Arizona state lawmakers don't get a very good grade when it comes to actions on climate change. They passed a resolution again this year opposing the Clean Power Plan and looking for a more, and I quote, coal-friendly alternative. But that being said, things again have happened in Arizona despite the state legislature and the governor. And I think that if you look at local government, there's a lot going on. Mayor Stanton has signed on to the commitment on the Paris Agreement, also Mayor Rothschild down in Tucson. So there's good things happening. I know Pima County is considering a resolution tomorrow. And a lot of the companies that do business in Arizona have as well. We have some great policies in place, like an energy efficiency standard that helps us all reduce our energy use, and that's really the cleanest, cheapest thing we can all do. There's a lot of movement for reducing use of automobiles, especially those that, gasoline engines. And
right.
So there are things happening despite the Arizona legislature, but they get an F on their report card.
Well, the president has said that he would be open to negotiating a new climate deal. We talked about how long this would actually take to go into effect, withdrawing. Sonia, he believes that he might be open to something that might be what he considers fair to U.S. economic interests. What do you think is the likelihood of that actually happening?
Well, I'd like to make sure one thing's very clear about what the Paris Agreement is. The Paris Agreement really only has one, possibly two obligations. That is that every country voluntarily determine what's in its own interest, and that they share that information every 5 years. Neither of those things are against American economic interests. So what he has done is pull us out of something that actually put very minimal obligations on the American people, because in the agreement, every single country gets to determine what it will do. So let's just be very clear that in pulling out of this agreement, he's not advancing American economic interests, because it didn't hurt American economic interests in the first place. Now, I want you to also think this took 197 countries over 4 years. If you were part of a group of friends who had spent 4 years, 197 of you coming up with an agreement, and then someone pulled out at the last minute, and then turned around and said, oh, well, I want to renegotiate it, how willing would you be to open renegotiations? That's what this really is about. This agreement is very light in terms of its obligations on the United States. The obligations the United States has taken are voluntary within the United States. He could have simply said that the United States was not going to meet its commitments without pulling out of the agreement. So it really doesn't make a lot of sense to say that he's doing this for an economic rationale, especially when we hear from large businesses that they're pushing for consistent climate policy internationally. Businesses that work across multiple countries do not want every single country to have a totally different standard.
Well, it is controversial, to say the least, and I'm sure we're going to be talking about this a lot more, not only on a domestic level, but internationally as well. So I appreciate you both sharing your thoughts with us here on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is Arizona Horizon. Up next, we talk to our state treasurer about record-breaking performance for an education fund.
I came to the United States when I was 24 years old. I did not speak any English. I felt very, very lost, really not knowing what to do with my life. One day on TV, there was Sesame Street. Ernie and Grover and Cookie Monster, and it's not only that I learned to speak in English, now I know how to live in the United States, so this is how you do it. Now I'm powerful. Now I know I can do anything I want. I will make myself learn how to do it. And I got that from PBS. I bought my first set of paints and brushes, and I practiced. My path is children's books, and I have found who I wanted to be, which is that person who has something to say. PBS and Sesame Street, they open up the world to me.
Welcome back. The Permanent Land Endowment Trust Fund in Arizona grew to $5.57 billion at the end of April of 2017. That allowed the fund to pay a record $225 million to Arizona schools. Arizona Treasurer Jeff DeWitt, who manages the fund, will tell us more right now. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So first, let's explain how this fund works for folks who don't know.
So this was a fund that was set up at statehood. When Arizona 100 years ago became a state, this fund was established so that as we sell state land, the proceeds from those sales go into this fund and then grows to benefit basically our schools. So 13 beneficiaries, but about 90% of it goes to the schools. And so it's really a way that the Treasurer's Office can protect and grow the money that eventually winds up in the classroom.
Well, and when you talk about how this fund has grown, what people may not realize is that it's allowed to invest in stock market and bond markets. How did that contribute to such significant growth that we're seeing?
And we have the fund right now about 60% in the stock market, 40% in the bond market, as is are a lot of endowments around the country. And but the performance we've seen, my first full year last year, we beat by about 4% the average endowment around the country. We beat Harvard, MIT, Stanford.
Which is pretty incredible.
We're beating the big names in the business. And we have such a small and very, very talented staff that's doing this. And this year, we've seen already so far this year over a 10% return. But a lot of that also comes down to the bond side. Everyone looks at the stock side. But our bond side, on average, is beating other bond portfolios by about 1%. And it's doing very well. And we do it very conservatively because rates are going up. And so we're keeping what's called our duration short in order to expect and plan for these rate hikes so we can take advantage of them before other funds can.
So would you say that the Arizona Fund then is on track to continue this same growth moving forward?
It sure looks like that. Yeah, we've done a great job. I do everything I can to make sure the staff doesn't go anywhere because we really have some talented people in there that are doing this. But yeah, you know, our goal is to see this continue. And you know, I've been in the investment world for over 20 years. This is something that I've done in the private sector for a long time and grow money, and I've done very well at that. And this was a chance for me. You know, I have 3 school-age daughters, and a chance for me to come in as a non-politician and run for this office and see if we could do things better. And so far, we've had some of the best results that the office has ever seen. And I think we've implemented a lot of process changes and some of the things that will continue far after I'm gone from this office.
Well, we know the schools definitely need the help here in Arizona. How will the schools use this money?
Well, right now it goes to them. I'd like to see all of it go to the classroom. I'm in the camp that would love to see all of it go to teacher pay personally. And I'd like to see it all go towards the classroom. But there's some leeway in how the schools spend the money, and some of them are giving more to teachers, some are giving less. I'd like to see, again, most of it go to teachers. But all I can do on my end is just keep growing this pot of money. It's bigger than it's ever been in its history. We've got it up to $5.57 billion. And it's distributing more under my watch than ever in history. So as treasurer, I will have distributed more money to schools by hundreds of millions of dollars than any treasurer in Arizona history, and I'm very, very proud of that.
Well, you should be proud of that, absolutely. And we're talking about, you know, this major, major growth that we're seeing. Do enough people know about it?
You know, not many people care about the Treasurer's Office. That's the funny thing. I'm so happy to be here talking about it.
But when you put it in perspective about how it benefits the schools, they should.
Right. And it's so badly needed. You know, we hear all the time these budget battles and all the talk about the schools, and I have no control over the state's budget. That's all done via the governor and the legislature. And this is the only piece that I can handle, is doing a great job growing this. that would have a direct benefit in the classroom. But I hope more people pay attention. You know, I try to go around like shows like this whenever I can come on and get people to pay attention. One of the things I talked about when I ran for treasurer is the better the state treasurer does, the less you have to pay in taxes.
And everybody loves that.
Everyone loves that, right? So I really want to encourage everybody to pay attention to who runs for treasurer for forever, and make sure it's somebody with a financial management background and not just a political hack looking to climb the ladder, which happens a lot, but somebody that, and this is what we'll see. We see press releases like this and positive statements like this happen when we have true professional financial people in the office, and that's what I'd hope to encourage to continue.
Well, it's nice to have you here to talk about something positive. Thank you so
Jeff.
much. We appreciate it. Channel 12 lead anchor Vanessa Ruiz is joining the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. Stay with us. Channel 12 lead anchor Vanessa Ruiz is joining the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication at Arizona State University, as I mentioned, as a professor of practice. She will direct Borderlands coverage team at Cronkite News. And joining me now to talk more about her new role is Vanessa Ruiz, who is feeling very strange being on the other side of things.
Absolutely. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you so much.
So good to have you here.
Thank
you. What an
you.
exciting opportunity.
It's
a little
thrilling.
nerve-wracking?
Well, I think with everything in life, when you take on a new challenge, you feel a little of those excited butterflies, and I certainly think that's exactly what I'm feeling right now, but I'm so excited, so thrilled. It's going to be a really, truly amazing opportunity.
Well, it is, because you get to have a hand in shaping the future of journalism, which is a tremendous opportunity, as I mentioned. Did you always know that that was what you wanted to do?
No. And to be quite honest with you, I've been in TV news, I can't even believe I'm going to say this, 17 years. And those 17 years have really flown by. And I would say probably within the last year or so, I've been sharing with close family and friends that I wanted to do something different with my life at some point, that I could see myself transitioning out of the commercial TV news business.
Right.
And I definitely knew that I wanted to help and be much more active in the community. And I also wanted to work closely with young people. And when this opportunity presented itself from the Cronkite School, it was just too good of an opportunity to pass by.
Well, let's talk about what you'll be doing, because you're working with students who are advanced journalism students who cover some very timely and in-depth issues along the U.S.-Mexico border region and Latino issues and culture across Arizona. Are there certain areas or issues that you intend to help them emphasize?
Well, I think, and it goes without saying, it's such a timely initiative. It's pretty much largely dominating our headlines right now. Immigration, border issues, and these are young students, as you said, future journalists who are going to get a first-hand experience to hit the ground running and to report on social, political, cultural issues, yes, that do affect Latino communities, but it goes beyond that. I like to say this Borderlands initiative is borderless, and we're going to be talking about what happens in Mexico, the Caribbean, South America, and beyond.
You are bilingual, so that's very important, obviously, to this job. You'll also be in charge of the new weekly Spanish language newscast, Cronkite Noticias, which is very exciting because, as I've discovered in my years mentoring here, a lot of students want to go into Spanish language television, and they don't always get the opportunity when they're here. Now they will.
I have to tell you, that is probably one of the most special parts of this opportunity for me. During my time as a journalist, I have had moments where I've looked over my shoulder and said, gosh, I wish there were more like me, in the sense where I have worked in both English and Spanish, bounced from working and being a journalist in English and then doing it in Spanish. And so I've always thought it would be so wonderful if there were more of us. And it doesn't necessarily have to be just English and Spanish. I always say speaking more than one language can only help you, and it can only benefit you. And as you know, being a journalist yourself, being able to integrate yourself in different kinds of communities and being able to interact with different kinds of people, it can only make you a better journalist.
Well, we only have a minute left, but I want to remind people that they will also still be able to see you in front of the camera. Explain that with your specials.
That's right. So again, part of this incredible opportunity will be right here with Arizona PBS, and we will be doing all sorts of really great programming, specials, and again, I'm just really looking forward to it. I feel very grateful. And again, also very happy to be able to continue to call Phoenix my home.
Well, we are so excited because you just got engaged, and so you are staying here. Very excited to have you in the community. Look forward to working with you out and about, and congratulations. This is such a tremendous opportunity, and what lucky students.
Oh gosh, I'm the lucky one. I feel lucky. Thank you, Catherine.
Good to have you here. Thank you. Tomorrow on Arizona Horizon, hear from a national economist on how upcoming transportation projects in Arizona will create jobs. And June is National PTSD Awareness Month. You'll hear from a doctor and a veteran about this debilitating disease. That's at 5:30 on Tuesday on Arizona Horizon. Thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you back here later on this week.
From the Friends of Arizona PBS, members of your PBS station. Thank you.
And thank you for tuning in to Arizona Horizon here on Arizona PBS. I'm Alice Ferris. You know, when you watch programs like Arizona Horizon, you know you're going to get an